This code demonstrates the unpacking of a list with mixed data types, conversion between data types, and computation of sum and average. Creating a list numbers equals 10, 20.5, 30. These lines create a list numbers containing a string 10, a float 20.5, and an integer 30. Unpacking the list. Num str num float num int equals numbers. This line unpacks the list element into three variables, num str, num float, and num int. Num str is assigned the string 10, num float is assigned the float 20.5, and num int is assigned the integer 30. Converting num str. Num str int equals int num str. Num str float equals float num str. This line converts the string num str to an integer and a float respectively. Num str int is assigned the integer 10 and num str float is assigned the float 10.0. Computing sum. Sum int equals num str int plus int num float plus num int. Sum float equals num str float plus num float plus num int. These lines compute the sum of the three numbers using both integer and float conversions. Sum int is calculated as 10 plus 20 plus 30 equals 60. Sum float is calculated as 10.0 plus 20.5 plus 30 equals 60.5. Computing average. Average int equals sum int 3. Average float equals sum float 3. These lines compute the average of the three numbers using both integer and float sums. Average int is calculated as 60 over 3 equals 20.0. Average float is calculated as 60.5 over 3 equals 20.16. Printing results. Print sum int, column sum int, print sum float, column sum float. Print average int, column average int. Print average float, column average float. These lines print the computed sum and average values. So this is the output of this code.